Thank you, Ori, for bringing the light. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. We are so blessed. We're so blessed to be here and to know that we are the light of the world. You know, the universe and all beings in it are in this process of spiritual evolution, of coming into their light, of knowing who they are, demonstrating that in the world. It's contagious because since we are one and we share the same light, when I turn on my light, it gives you permission to turn on yours, to forget everything else and turn on your light. It's a process of unfoldment, spiritual evolution. And admittedly, there are times where this process doesn't feel so good because you're leaving behind everything you thought you were, everything you thought you knew, all those strong positions that you held up to oppose everyone else, the places that you knew you were right. There's that famous saying in the Course in Miracles that says, would you rather be right or happy? I choose happy. I choose joy. In all of those 8 pillars of joy, I didn't see one that says the need to be right. The need to be above everyone else, better than you. I didn't see any of those. I didn't see the need to have more stuff. I didn't see the need to have a position of power. I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear any of that. I heard forgiveness, gratitude, perspective, all of those kinds of qualities. And that's part of finding the peace that's in the process of this spiritual awakening, spiritual evolution. So admittedly, this process doesn't feel so good sometimes. There are times where we may become anxious or afraid or angry. But we can always count on one thing. The process is going to continue. No matter what, we will come out the other side. We may go through the process kicking and screaming, or we can find peace in the process. That's our choice, and that's our decision. And that's what's so joyful about a spiritual path, is you're the one that gets to choose. You get to choose how fast or how slow you want to evolve. How fast or how slow you want to be in this process. It's your choice. What tools you're going to use in this process, it's your choice. The people you're going to be with in this process, it's your choice. So everything that is happening in this realm is your choice. It's your decision. And you have the power to decide just how you will respond to life. We will move through every situation, in every circumstance, and come out the other side no matter what. The only question is, are you going to find peace in this process? Besides being in an evolutionary process, we are all involved in a series of individual growth processes, experiences, and challenges of life. But you know, we can see those challenges as opportunities instead of obstacles. This wonderful thing that I remembered last week is if life seems like a storm and it's blowing you, you can't necessarily affect the storm, but you can adjust your sails. And that will carry you with peace in the process. And some of us love to go fast in this evolutionary process. We love it. And so life gets more challenging, not less. As you become more aware, more spiritually evolved, and more awake, it becomes more challenging, not less. The waves are bigger and the wind is blowing stronger. And you're the cause of it. To tell you the truth, you're bringing it about through your desire for change, your desire for awakening, for spiritual awakening. You're whipping up the wind in the storm because you know now how to sail. We have some sailors in here. And you know if you go out on a slack day, there's no wind, you're like, oh, come on, this is no fun. You want some wind. And the more expert sailors want more wind. And they want a bigger boat with more sails. And so, this is a great thing to think about. We're all faced with a series of opportunities brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. They're opportunities. They're not impossible, but they're disguised as impossible situations. Something you don't think you could possibly do. Think about it within your own experience. Something that you've achieved, something you've gone through that you thought was impossible. You all have one or two, or maybe several. I remember when I was young, I was 16 or 17, one of my first jobs, my dad got me a job with a contractor as a framing carpenter, a carpenter's helper. And we show up and there's a big hole in the ground and a pile of wood that the truck dropped off. And the guy says, that pile of wood is going to become a house. So start bringing it over. I was the one that had to carry the wood. I was the one I brought the wood over and they turned it into the house. So it wasn't impossible. You just get a couple of young kids to carry the wood for you. It seemed impossible to me that was going to happen in 2 weeks. That we would have a 2-story house with a 2-car garage framed and roofed and sided in 2 weeks with 4 people. Wow is right, my aching back. It wasn't impossible because I drive by those houses today and some of them sell for over $1 million. And they were built for a few thousand back then. So it's not impossible at all. Personally, there are a few other things that I can just recall very briefly. When I was 21 years old, I ran a marathon in San Francisco, 26.2 miles, and I never had any training. I never trained for it. The longest distance I ran before that was 7 miles. But somehow I knew I could do it. And everyone said, that's impossible, don't do it. You're going to hurt yourself. I said, no, I love running. I'm just going to run until it's over. And it was an amazing experience. I was out there running and running and running. It was hot. And I was getting really dizzy at one point. It was about 20 miles. They say there's a wall about that time, 20 miles. So about 20 miles, there's a group of people that are going to throw water on you. And they run right up to you like a frisbee full of water and splashed it in my face. And I was, oh, great. And I asked them, is this the wall? Yes, keep going. So I kept going. Like, if you don't have a lot of preconceptions about it, you can do anything. So along the route as well, I saw somebody running with their eyes closed, like they barely slits. You can, just barely, so you don't run into anybody. But like that, meditative, running in it. So I tried it. It was amazing. It was amazing. Running with your eyes closed. I never thought of that. That was really great. But I made it through without training at all. 26.2 miles. Now that's a long drive. Never mind running. Geez, many of your cars don't get 26 miles to the gallon. But there's been so many things. I'm an ordained minister 3 times. Right? 3 times. The most impossible one was, in my 50s, thinking I'm going to become a unity minister with not ever having one unity class under my belt. But it happened with all of your support. It only took me 4 years, and we did it. I say we did it. But that was the 3rd time, so I guess I had to prove that one to myself, that it wasn't impossible to follow my inner guidance. Because I knew at 16 years old I was supposed to be a minister. I knew very, very young that I was supposed to be a preacher, be a teacher, and to bring the principles of the Christ to others. I just couldn't get along with the dogma and the doctrine. It didn't make sense to me that God was judgmental, or that there was a duality called heaven and hell, and that some people were going to hell, and that it's all this stuff, like this, just lots and lots and lots of it did not make sense. So it took a long time to find the core truth in all religions. And I looked at every spiritual path and every religion and experienced a lot of it, but I always gleaned the core truth out of it. And it comes back to what unity teaches, that there's one power and one presence active in the universe. That's God, and God is good and omnipotent. And so that's all there really is in truth. And since you are a child of God, you are inherently good. And that's all there is in truth. Everything else is a story that you've been telling yourself, that you've been playing out and projecting onto the world. So you make the world evil. You make the world dualistic, whatever, right? You make it a place that is not comfortable for yourself and others. But in truth, the world is meant to be a reflection of God's love, so that you can learn that you are love, and that God is love and only love. And that's what we teach here, this unity, that God is one thing, love and only love. And then if that is what God is, that's what you are. And so you can use the power of your mind to manifest your world. In fact, all your experiences are manifesting through the power of your mind anyway. So what's in there? What consciousness are you holding in your mind? Now, to find peace in this process, for me, I had to have some experiences. One of those experiences was when I was 19 years old. Before I ran the marathon, I was living with a family, and the young boy in the family was not yet 2 years old, got lost one night. And it became the largest search in the history of Cape Cod. Over 2,000 people ended up searching. There were movie cameras and, not movie cameras, TV cameras with news cameras. And there were police and fire and the mass maritime cadets and everyone looking, searching around our house, because we lived out kind of in the country when there still was country on Cape Cod, and near a golf course. And so he could have been anywhere. So when I arrived to my home after theater rehearsal, Cape Cod Community College that night, I arrived home and I found all these people outside. And I said, what's going on? But immediately I knew. I said, has something to do with this little boy. He got lost, didn't he? And they said, yeah, he went running after his dog and never came back. He had a puppy. So they went running off, and they just disappeared off in the yard. And when they went to look for him, he wasn't around. But something inside my heart in that moment said, you're the one who's going to find him. And boy, did I fight with that voice. Let me tell you, I did not find peace with that idea at first. I said, there's all these policemen here. There's all these fire departments here. There's all these cadets looking for him. There's these experts who know how to find kids when they're lost. There's people walking through the woods arm in arm, and they have searchlights and helicopters and everything else. Why me? Why am I the one who's going to find him? They said, because you're connected. There's a voice in my head, in my heart, said, because you're connected to him. You know him. You know where he is. Your heart is connected to him. And so I said, okay. I got with the family, and we got in a circle, and we prayed. And I went out walking by myself, and I saw a vision. I stopped to pray, and I saw a vision. It was like a light in my third eye. And I saw in that light a little boy in the roots of a tree with his puppy dog, keeping him warm. And I knew exactly in that moment where he was. And when I went out and took a walk almost a mile away from the house, when I was just about to go in the woods, I had a feeling that he was close. There was a car horns beeping and everyone shouting, we found him, we found him. So I went, oh, great. It's not me. I can escape from the responsibility here of being a spiritual person and having a human experience. So I ran back to the house, so grateful somebody else found him. And they said, it wasn't him. It was just a pile of clothes. Yeah. So that reinforced my knowing that I had to find him and reinforced my fear of success. Because in that moment, I was going to be responsible for the rest of my life for this experience. I could not deny what was happening to me, which was the Spirit of the living God in me, or the Spirit of light, the eternal love, whatever you want to call it, was guiding me. That it wasn't my ego anymore that I could ever listen to again and trust. That I had to trust God no matter what after this. I could never be right again. But boy, I was going to be happy the rest of my life. I didn't know that then, so I was a little afraid of this experience. But just then at that moment, the phone rings. It was a family friend, and she said, I'm the one that called the cadets to come and search for that boy. We got to find him. She says, and I know you're the one who's going to find him. So get out there and find him. She hung up. What was I going to do then? I had to. So I grabbed the boy's uncle. I said, come on, I don't want to be alone. Let's go find him. I know exactly where he is because I'm seeing him right here in my mind. That vision did not go away. Because there was a lot going on, it still didn't go away. It was there. When I got quiet, when I found my peace, the vision was still there. I love this fact that the connection, direct connection, heart to heart was still there. And the vision of where he was, and the puppy dog was included, was still there. This time when I went out, we had another family pet. It was my cat. The cat just greets me and starts walking with us. And I'm like, of course the cat knows where they are. So I didn't need a helicopter, we just needed a cat. So me and the cat and the uncle, we go out and we kind of split up. But I kept walking directly where my heart told me to go, where the vision told me where he was. And I just kept walking and walking. When I got to the spot, all of a sudden I stopped for no reason at all. My inner voice says, go in the woods right now. Walk. Straight here. Just walk. Stop. Look down. I looked down. There he was. He was lying right there, exactly as I saw him in my mind with his puppy dog. He didn't have a jacket or anything. So there he was. And that's how life can be for all of us. The vision is always there. We're clouding it over with all of our ideas of what's going on. But we know. We know in our hearts and our minds. And I can tell you, we're avoiding it. Because we want to be in control. We want to tell God what I need and what's supposed to happen. We're not listening and we're not paying attention to that vision. But you know what? It's still there and it never goes away ever. That's still going to be there no matter what happens. You're not going to escape the responsibility for being happy, being spirit. You're not going to escape the responsibility for being love. You're not going to escape the responsibility for your own healing, no matter what happens. Can I share a little bit of your story? Because I'm so happy Patricia McPartland's here this morning. You drove yourself here. Yes. And I mean, you look better than ever. I mean, I
thank everybody and Reverend Tony and the people, Wendy and Dr. Jessen, for all the help and support and prayers. I tell you, when I was in the intensive care, I could feel the love emanating from the community. Yeah, it's real. It's real.
So she's saying what's real is her healing. And in case you can't hear what's going on online, I'll just share a little bit. Is that not too long ago, I was talking, a couple years, I was talking with Patricia on the telephone, and she was in the intensive care unit. And they actually weren't giving her much hope. They were going to send her home with hospice. She's like, well, what's the therapy? Where's my therapy? What's the treatment? No more treatment. You're going home and this is it. It's just, I don't think so. I asked you too. I said, do you want to be here? She said, definitely. Definitely. And that was it. Her decision and our intention to join with her in her decision helped to bring about, along with Dr. Joe Dispenza and other practices, helped to bring about your total and complete healing. And here she is today. So the power of intention is listening to that voice within, the voice for God, that says all things are possible. You know, it has been said that the individual who says it's not possible should move over, get out of the way of those who are doing it. But I want to go a step further. The people who say it's impossible have an opportunity to join in. And join those who are doing it. You don't have to move out of the way. Come and join us. Come on. It's fun. It's amazing. You don't want to do it. I can see the resistance. I can feel it. You don't want to be spiritual beings with all that power. You want to be little and you want to hide from your responsibility of being God on earth, being a child of God, of showing the same power and presence as the Buddha, as Jesus, or any other master. We're at that time of spiritual evolution where we are the masters. We have to be the masters of our own destiny. We have to get rid of the idols. The teachers are great. And the practice is more important than the teacher. The teacher and all the books and all the philosophies and all the paths are just pointing you in that direction. You have to do it. You have an opportunity to join those who are doing the impossible. You don't have to move out of the way. You have an opportunity to join us. So I would also say, those who say it is impossible simply need to find peace in the process of doing it. You will join the process of allowing the impossible to happen for you. It's the same when Jesus reminded, I like that. Find peace in the process. Beautiful slide. I'll just hold that for a second. And remember that this is the same thing that Jesus taught. He taught with men, it's impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So, with limited thinking, it's impossible. That's, with men, means the thinking of an individual, separate human being, the thought system of separation. But with God, the thought system of oneness, of wholeness, of togetherness, of connectedness, of light, of power in us. All things are possible. With God, all things are possible. But God in you. That's the step that we take at Unity. It's not, oh, my buddy God. All things are possible. I got my buddy here. He's got all the power. No, you have all the power. We have all the power. And that is what God is. It's the collective energy of love that we express in the world, that's being expressed in the universe. So if you're doing it with God, with Spirit, with universal mind, with divine mind, with all there is, God consciousness, thinking with God consciousness, everything is possible. It's not only possible. What did Reverend Tony say? It's certain. It's certain. It's not only possible, it's certain. Remember that. It starts being something you say, well, maybe that's possible. But as soon as you say that, something inside you goes, wait, if it's possible, it's going to happen. It's certain. Because it's God's will and your will. It's the same will. Some might say it's impossible for me to tithe 10% of my income to my spiritual center or my church or the place where I get my spiritual food. Some can say, it's impossible for me to heal from this disease. It's impossible for me to increase my finances. It's impossible for me to get a new home. It's impossible for me to learn that new song. I've said that one before. It's impossible for this, it's impossible for that, and where do you end up? You end up in an impossible situation. And guess what? It's cleverly disguised as a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for us to expand our consciousness in that moment. My challenge right now, my process or our process is to get more people in here. And to increase not only our spiritual population, our congregation, but to increase our reach in the world, to increase our effectiveness in awakening from this stream of separation, to increase our effectiveness or to expand our effectiveness in healing others, helping to heal others. It's really happening, guys. Don't let it just happen to somebody else. Claim it for yourself. Really, whatever miracle you need, whatever blessing you need, claim it for yourself and just focus on that, knowing that it is certain. If you're doing it with God, with spirit, with universal consciousness, it's certain. Then you can stop worrying about it and keep doing it. You can keep going in that direction. What happens with doubt? It takes away today's peace. It doesn't do anything to take away the inevitability of the blessings that are coming your way. It just kind of delays it, slows it down. Open the floodgates and let it pour in. That's why I mentioned tithing. In Malachi, it said, if you take 10%, bring it into the storehouse, I will pour out a blessing which you do not have room enough to receive. This is my personal experience. When Lily and I first came here, and I can honestly say our finances were pretty bleak. But the one thing that started us in the right direction was tithing. We said, we're going to give away whatever we receive, at least 10%. And you know what happens? Is that more comes in, and you want to give more. And more comes in, and you want to give more. And more comes in. And you're like, is it just 10% or can I give 20? Because, Edwin Gaines used to say, do you want to play big or you want to play small? You can play big. You can tithe 20% and see what happens. I started doing that. It's amazing. It's crazy. It's amazing what happens. It just comes and comes and comes. It flows from the universe. And it's so important for me to share that with you, that it's such a simple process. You give at least 10% of everything that you receive. I don't care if you sell a house or if you've got a steady job or if you find a dime on the sidewalk. 10% of that to the source of your spiritual enrichment. Then set your goals and follow them. One step a day in the direction of your dreams. The third thing is you forgive everyone in your life, past, present, or anticipated. Forgiveness. See, people get stuck on that one a lot. And the fourth one is just find and follow your spiritual purpose. You can do all the other things, but if your purpose is not spiritual, if it's not fulfilling you spiritually, then all the rest is just to gain more human substance. It's just to gain a material sense of prosperity, not the real abundance and prosperity. So that's my quick and easy way of prosperity. But remember this, that no matter what it is, whether it's gaining abundance in your life, whether it's healing of your body, whether it's expansion of your community, whether it's finding yourself a spiritual relationship, that can happen too, can't it? And we prayed for that, and it happened. I love it when people come to me and I don't remember what we prayed for. She goes, it happened. Right? I was praying for this, and it happened. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. I forgot all about it. So just keep praying. Just keep holding your brothers and sisters in the light. Know that nothing is impossible with God, that you are the light of God, and that it is unfolding according to your intention, and that everything in this world is unfolding perfectly for your highest good, and nothing is impossible. In fact, with God, it is certain. Love you guys. Bless you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.